Hello and welcome to Podcast from the Pit. This is a special pre-recorded episode where I get to interview Lawrence from A Punk with Toys. How are you tonight?
Good, good. Thank you for having me on.
Thanks for coming on.
I have
I
to
know
say,
you are one of the busiest people doing shows, and I appreciate taking the time out.
and if I can fit it in and somebody asks, it means someone wants to talk to you. And sometimes you have to say no, but if I can say yes, you can see I'm a little drained. But as we go on, I have to say, though, I'm watching your intro there, and you get towards like those last three figures.
Uh-huh.
Poor guys without the swivel arm battle grip. I hate the straight arm figures. I've sold off a couple of my straight arm figures because I had the swivel arm.
Mm-hmm.
And I know people, they want to have the whole collection or they want that because those are the original. But no, I'd much rather have the swivel arm.
Yeah, when I was rebuilding a collection, I was looking for more 1.5s, but I would get the straight arms if the deal was better.
Yeah.
Or, but I was shooting for 1.5s because swivel arms, when I was a kid, as soon as those came out, I was like, oh, this is so much better.
Yeah, I think my breaker is a straight arm. I had a clutch. I had an almost complete vamp and a clutch, and then I had a complete vamp with the swivel arm battle grip. And when I was like, well, I don't really need to, my idea of eventually having like a fleet of these things, well, my house isn't that big, and there's a thing called classified, which they take up much more space. I was like, I'd much rather have the swivel arm than the straight arm. So that was the one that I got rid of. But I think there's two straight arms that I have of the originals, and I just haven't got around to getting. Because it's one of those things where you're like, do I really want to spend money on something I already have? Because it's not like I'm playing with them. And Breaker's even, it doesn't matter. He doesn't have a weapon.
True.
Yeah. He just sits at the headquarters computer.
Yeah, I know my Scarlet straight arm, but I was just happy I found one where the crotch was still there.
Yes, my Scarlet is because it's my original Scarlet. The only figure that does not have a peg, if I'm correct. Although the Glenda does, I think.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, because I made a comment about her not having a peg, and I want to say it was Ken from Toy Connections that said, he said, I just got Glenda, and they looked, and they were like, yeah. Maybe it wasn't Ken, because Ken didn't get, it was someone else, and they said, Glenda does, and I think they showed a picture, but I think she has different feet than the original Scarlet. The original Scarlet has those stupid heels.
Right.
Yeah. My Scarlet's all like loose and wobbly and stuff. And she's never standing again. The only way she's standing is against the wall like a drunk, all right?
Yeah. Right. I was trying to think earlier. I don't think we've ever recorded before together, but that's not true. I believe we were both on Ken's Joe Fest episode just for a little bit. Because you were making fun of me in that picture.
The one that looked like
you felt I felt out of place in that picture, but I was honored to be asked to be in
it. You look like you were photoshopped in.
I know. I was like, oh,
I'm like, Tony, he looks like he's photoshopped in.
But it was fun.
We're all, again at Joe Fest or wherever, we're all just collectors, man. Like, no different, no different, no worse, no better than anyone else. And again, I would hate for anyone that's sitting at a convention, like with the rest of us, to have this feeling like they're being left out.
Yeah, I didn't get that feeling. I just, with you, I was more comfortable. I met you at Paracon. You were super nice to me. Tony, I mean, as soon as he saw me, he gave me a hug. He's a great dude. just a couple people I really didn't know that well in that
Yeah,
picture. So I kind of felt like maybe you
I get
guys
it.
are like better friends, and I shouldn't get into that. But
No,
like I said, it was awesome.
we're a bunch of
Yeah.
we're a bunch of adult Joe
Right.
collectors. I mean,
And it's fun. I love it.
that was one of the best weekends of my life.
I'm
You
looking
know,
forward to it this year. I cannot wait.
yeah, and again, I know I continue to harp on it, and I'm like, I think what makes Joe Fest so good, and I think Legion's Con might be very similar, um, but not because of when it takes place, but you're there for 3 days, and if you stay at
Mhm.
the hotel, you're not worried about leaving, driving back to a hotel or Airbnb. You're just there. The hotel doesn't care. So they let you either go up in the lobby, they let you stay down. It doesn't matter. And so your biggest concern at 2 o'clock in the morning is walking back to your room in the hotel. So
Right.
I think it's very special. And again, I wasn't there on Thursday because I stayed with Aaron the toy enhancer. A few of us did, and then I drove out there Friday morning. But it's basically from Thursday night till Monday morning. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people leave on Sunday, but there's still a lot of people Sunday night that are there. So I'm looking forward to being there the whole time this year.
So you come in on Thursday this time?
Yeah, I'm driving on Thursday. Ed is because Ed and I are sharing a room. Like, I'm still trying to get Tony, but Tony has some personal stuff going on with his sister,
Yeah.
so I'm not sure if he's going to be able to make it. But I've told him, like, hey, I'm not sharing the room with anyone else. It was going to be us three to begin with, so it's there. If you can make it, if you can just get there, just get there. Don't even
Right.
worry about paying for it if you can't afford it. Like, the room, I'll take care of your portion, if need be. But he has other things that are, But again, I'm like, hey, dude, you're flying in Thursday, you're leaving Monday.
Yeah.
You know, but I do understand it. But it was a blast, and he's one of my best friends, and getting to
He's
hang out
great.
with Ed again is going to be great. And again, it's truly, you're looking at what 60, 70 hours with friends.
Right. It's like I hate to sleep during that that time.
Yeah,
But I have to. I'm too old.
I was more worried. I didn't sleep very much, but I was more worried about that Sunday night knowing that I got a 14-hour drive home. And I said, okay, I'm going up to bed a little early. And I think I started walking upstairs about 12, and they were already up there. And then I ended up sitting there talking to guys, talked to Patrick Stewart. And I don't think that I went back to the room till about 2 o'clock in the morning.
Always fun. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I love it.
But
This
yeah,
is
it's
fifth in a row for us.
oh wow.
It's our fifth one.
Yeah, so
And
that was
when
my
we
first
first
one.
we went the first year and we're like, let's do it every other year, because it is an expensive trip.
Yeah.
But no, we've not missed a year because it gets better every year.
And after you go to the first one and you get the atmosphere, you realize what it's really about. You can go there and not buy a damn thing. You can go there and not buy one thing and you have just as much fun. I mean, there's very few exclusives for one thing. Two, there's very few exclusive that you can get through people you either know. So I don't have to go to San Diego Comic Con, or I got the
Right.
Toylanta stuff that's right here. I didn't go to those. Um, but you can go there, and all you're worried about is obviously however much it takes to get there, whatever it costs to be in the convention, your hotel, and then some food. But it's all
Mhm.
about the stories, the camaraderie, getting to meet people from all over the world. That's what's even better. Ray Paz and not Ray Paz. We'll take that one back. Ray Murphy.
Very-
Can
yeah.
we scratch that? Ray Murphy and his brother. It's just so much fun.
I met I met Ray Murphy like 3 years ago, and I didn't know who it was. We were just two guys talking in line. Super nice guy.
It's again, I know for me, I went to PowerCon. There were a few people that recognized me. I knew going to Joe Fest there would be more people due to that it's more of a Joe centric. I was blown away by how many people recognized me and knew me. And it's very humbling because again, I'm just a guy that goes on the internet, right? I'm just a guy that goes on the internet. That is true. But I'm no different, no better, no worse than anyone out there. I put myself out there, whether or not people are going to make fun of me or not. So
now I will say before I start asking these hard hitting questions I've prepared that one of the great things about your reviews and your show is it's honest.
thank you.
You'll give your opinion. If you don't like it, other than the time I think you threw a figure because it was junk, I think it was the Falcon.
It's up to
yeah. Even if you don't like it, you don't sit there and bash the crap out of it. I like that, but you will say you don't like it, and it's honest.
I'm getting my honest opinion because that's what you're tuning for. And everything that I tell people, my opinion, my experience may not be your experience. Within that, and the Falcon that he's talking about, if anyone is tuning in, it's the Captain America Falcon. Captain
New World, is that what it is?
Yeah. And the wings wouldn't stand. Now I got another one, and the wings work. The wings work, but they're still not as Captain America's wings are better. They just stay on better. And that was a frustration building up. And I don't do things for effect. Now, did I put that at the beginning of the video? Yes. I did put that at the beginning of the video because I've done this long enough to know if you have a hook like that, you might as well because now people are going to tune in. I do not buy things to try and rag on it. I'll be 100% honest. The closest that I did was that what I pretty much felt I probably wasn't going to like was the Valaverse blowback ghillie suit. But I gave it a chance. I gave it a fair review, and I wasn't, I didn't get mad like that. The Savage Crucible, I was really mad about. So much so that they remembered that review. Now, did I tell you that story at Joe Fest?
No, you didn't tell me that story. I think I remember. Didn't the figure not stand?
So Savage Crucible, they originally had toe articulation, and these figures would not stand. And I went through it. Now, if you don't have a Savage Crucible, wonderful figure, like articulation, the sculpt, the paint, they looks great, but the feet were awful. So much so that they went and they got rid of the feet and sent them out to everyone. Like they got rid of the toe articulation. Well, I did it. I was frustrated as it was, but this was a time where I was also putting them on the, as I call it, the productive Susan because it spins around.
Oh yeah.
My ex name is Susan, and she does not like the name Lazy Susan. So we've adapted it to call it the productive Susan. And so you guys didn't see how long I was sitting here just trying to get 6 different poses, and it kept falling over and I said I'm not going to do it. I did the end of it, and I tossed it onto my table or onto my desk, and the desk is wood, so it made a noise. So when I was at Joe Fest, there was a guy in front of me at the Savage Crucible table. He wouldn't stop talking, and I heard them say something about the feet, and I said, can I ask, what are you guys going to be doing about? Are you doing something about the feet? How do we get them? And the guy standing there says, we're going to be sending them out to everyone. And I go, well, how do you know? And it's the owner, and he goes, yeah, we're going to be sending them out to everyone that backed the Kickstarter, except for people that throw the figure. And I go, I didn't throw the figure. And he goes, oh yeah, you did. We heard it. And I go, no. I tossed it. It wasn't a throw. And he was like, and I could tell he was kind of aggravated with me. And later on that night, we all sat there and watched the video, and everyone agreed it was a toss. Now, the Falcon, that was a throw.
Yeah.
So the next day, early on, I went down. It was a Saturday morning. Was it Saturday? I think it was Saturday morning. I went down and I did a walkthrough of the of Joe Fest, and I'm walking through, and he just happened to be there at the table setting up because it was before they opened. And I said, "Hey," I'm like, listen, I don't want any hard feelings or anything. And I go, we all watched the video. We all agree it was a toss, not a throw. And he kind of laughed about it. And I said, I'm not going to say anything anymore. And I'm kind of walking, and the guy was setting up a Savage Crucible, and right on cue on video, he fell forward because the ankles couldn't hold him. And I'm like, you can't make this up, right? I couldn't make this up, but it tells you that, well, again, I know for a fact that some of these companies are watching the reviews. And in case of Savage Crucibles, as much as he was not happy with what he perceived me to throw the figure, he clearly heard it from enough people that these ankles and the toe articulation was hampering them from standing, and they went and they fixed it. So this is the reason why you're honest with it and not a dick about it, right?
Right.
It gives them a reason to want to go and fix what needs to be addressed. But I appreciate it. There's my long answer. My long little story. I promise I won't give the flag story. All right, I promise that.
All right. So, favorite band. I know we both like punk music. What's your favorite band?
Sick of It All.
Sick of It All.
Which is the opening of every single. Like all my reviews, it's the Sick of It All G.I. Joe Head Stomp song.
Now, young Lawrence, was it just G.I. Joe, or what other toys did you play with?
So obviously, I feel like most of us, and I ask this question to everyone that comes on my show. So I feel like we all started off with, if we're in the age bracket, I'm 49 years old. So anyone in our age bracket, we kind of remember, Hot Wheels, the Adventure People, Army Men.
Mm-hmm.
But you started off with Star Wars.
Yes.
I had the Lone Ranger figures. I still have my Tonto and Lone Ranger, my original one.
Cool. I like those.
I know. I want to get them. I don't have the guns or the knife, and I don't have the horses anymore. But I think we all had Star Wars. It was our age, and so I had a good amount of Star Wars figures. But I can remember exactly where I was, what I was playing with, and how I turned around and talked to my dad after I saw that first G.I. Joe commercial.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I asked him if I could get one. He said, yeah. When we saw him at the Sears toy department, he told me to get two. And I remember picking out two. One was the Vamp, and I want to say the other one, I don't know what the other one would have been because it didn't have a figure. My dad said, well, why don't you grab that one? Which ended up actually being the HAL. And he said, why don't you get that one? So then you'll have two figures and two vehicles. And I swear to God, it was like the Sears roof opened up. Angels were singing. Light was like, that's how, like, oh my God, Dad, you're so smart. So I had a lot of other stuff, GoBots, Transformers, some Motu stuff, Jason the Real Warriors. I love to bring that up. I love Jason the Real Warriors. I had a lot of different things, but the reason why that O-ring collection is so big downstairs is because that's what I had the most of.
Right.
So yeah, if it was coming, if it's Christmas was coming, yeah, I might get a couple Motu, some Transformers, but the bulk of everything was going to be G.I. Joe, and that's really all that I wanted. I look back at it and I'm like, I don't think I had a second favorite like toy. Yeah, I had a friend who I just recently found out he just passed away. I saw it on Facebook. He had all this Motu stuff, which was He-Man. Like I didn't know it was called Motu. It was He-Man, right?
I didn't either until about 4 years ago.
me
I love
neither.
it.
I'm like, what is it? What is Motu? Like, and then someone's like, it's Masters of the Universe. And I was like, I never realized that. I'm like, He-Man, and they're like, it's called Master of the Universe. I'm like, no, it's called. And then you're like, it's not called He-Man, is it?
Yeah.
But he had all this He-Man stuff, Gray Skull and Snake Mountain. So we'd go over there, and like when I was, when we went there, we didn't play G.I. Joe. We played, He-Man. So I had a lot of experience and a lot of playtime with He-Man. But when I was at home, I can't remember. I can't remember playing Transformers. I can remember playing, Star Wars. But I mean, I had I had a good amount of Transformers, but I don't remember playing with them. I had Mask. But I don't have the vibrant memories like I do with the G.I. Joe.
Yeah, I did. I'm 53, so I'm a few years older.
Okay.
So I was big into Star Wars until 82 when the two best toy lines came out, G.I. Joe and Masters of the Universe. And I would say at that point, 80% Joe, 20% Motu. And it just kept getting like that.
I think it's hard to argue for the 80s as a boy that G.I. Joe, Motu, and Transformers were easily the best toy lines of the 80s. Star Wars didn't last long enough. And I anyone that's on my show on Thursday with a friend and they say Star Wars, I asked the question, I go, because this was a problem that I had. Were you able to play differently? Were you able to play Star Wars differently than what the movies were? I had to reenact the movies. I couldn't branch off away from it. Now, I don't know why that is, because every single other toy line, there was some sort of media. I didn't have to act G.I. Joe out how the cartoon or the comic was, or Transformers, right? But Star Wars was, well, I can't put Han Solo on Dagobah. He wasn't there. And I've talked to other people, especially the guys in Australia, and they're like, we didn't see the movie, so I just had this blank slate. I'm like, I kind of envy that.
That was me. I didn't see the movies until I was like, VHS first came out with them. They didn't come out on VHS for a long time because of Lucas. So it was all, my headcanon, how I thought they was. So it was all fun.
And I envy that type of stuff, because that means you were able to do some things, because my mind didn't allow me. And I don't know why. I think because, and I'll say it again, no matter what, those three movies, that is the greatest saga of all time. There's nothing, it changed movies. And if you watch Star Wars, Empire, or Jedi today, you don't go, wow, that is really dated. Now sometimes you go, George, I wish you wouldn't have tried to fix it because it wasn't broken.
Right. I fully expect at some point they will redo those movies with new actors and new.
I don't think
new
so.
effects.
I don't think that they
believe
will.
Hollywood recycles everything.
I think because of the way that canon is, I believe that they will just continue on and leave that, because you don't need to redo those movies, because there's a lot of movies they don't need to redo. But again, if you go back and watch those movies, there's no real reason to. I think where they messed up, let's just say on episode 7, 8, 9. Well, there's so many places they messed up on those.
This is only an hour show.
They might go an hour and a half, 2 hours. They should have gone 100 years in the future.
Yeah.
This way, you're not messing with any canon. You can still talk back to the history, the lore of the Jedi, and the person that, like, 100 years. Then you don't have to worry about bringing in Leia and Han. Like, boom. That's what they should have done.
Okay.
I'm going to let you ask the question, because I will be going all day.
Hey,
If you see my
That
show,
is
you know.
fun. I've worked all week. This is the most fun I've had. So it's great. So I know you got your flag. Do you still have a lot of your childhood toys? Or
Only
like I
GI
have
Joe.
nothing from my childhood.
I only have my GI Joe stuff. Now I've talked about this before too. I don't. I remember I told my dad don't get rid of any of my GI Joe stuff. I know I did not tell him not to get rid of my other stuff, but that's not something he would have done anyway. So I have no idea what happened to my Transformers, my He-Man. I know what happened to my Star Wars because I killed them all. So that's on me. Like the mask stuff that I had, I don't know what happened to it. But all the GI Joe, well, I can't say all, most of the GI Joe stuff has carried over. Now, I have gotten rid of some of my original stuff that was broken or not in as good of condition when I've replaced it. I can't see myself obviously ever getting rid of my flag. I can't see myself ever getting rid of my Terradrome, even though mine has some broken clips on it and stuff like that. Even my headquarters, I got a new headquarters and I still have the old one. So, I mean, I've had to add some pieces. I ordered some pieces off eBay, and when they came in, they had Canadian flags on it, and I was kind of aggravated. It's called a real American hero, not a real Canadian hero.
Yeah. So, give me a rundown of the toy lines that you collect right now. I mean, not just for like reviews, just stuff that you really like and you collect.
Well, GI Joe Classified is number one.
Mm-hmm.
And again, if they would have stayed with what they were originally doing, I probably still would do it. I don't think I would be as over the top of it as I am now. Operation Monster Force, I really like. I'm into some Mythic Legion stuff. I'm not all in, that's for sure. I pick and choose.
Yeah.
Some Marvel Legends, just what I see. The figure Obscura, which is also Four Horsemen stuff. I do like the Mezco GI Joes. That's really the only ones I've gotten, other than the the Vietnam robot. I can't think of his name. I knew nothing of the history. He just looks super cool. I can't think of his name. Right now, someone's yelling and screaming that's watching this, going, "Why don't you know this stuff?" Jada Street Fighter.
Oh yeah.
Best figures out there, and for a very cheap price. Like if you like toys, and I wasn't even a Street Fighter fan.
Right, me either.
Yeah, but I love the figures, and they're so much fun, and they give you a good amount for what you're looking at. But those are really. I know there's more stuff, right? I mean, I buy stuff all the time. I have most of the Delta 17 figures. I think I'm missing one or two. But I get a lot of 3D printed stuff. I'm just looking around. And again, when I see things that I like, and especially as I started to do a little bit more photography, like I picked up a Predator, so you can do some photography with Predator. I bought the Elf. I want to say Elf, or people will get mad at me because they say I don't enunciate the L. But G.I. Joe, Operation Monster Force, some Mythic Legions, like I said, not so much the Cosmic Legions, Street Fighter, and Marvel Legends. I would say that's probably where the bulk of my stuff is.
Yeah.
And again, I still do collect 118 stuff. I still try and pick up the G.I. Joe O-ring stuff, and I'll always be trying to complete that collection.
So you're not doing the Super 7 O-rings, are you?
Oh, I haven't seen any that I like.
Yeah.
I've seen a few at Target. I couldn't figure out what was wrong with them till I talked to Patrick Stewart, and he told me exactly why they didn't seem right. And he said the faces are painted. All the original O-rings they're molded in that color, unless it was like a mask or something. The rivets are on the wrong side. They were always. He just put out a video. I don't know if you
Hmm.
watched Patrick Stewart.
I haven't seen that video yet.
Go watch it if you like. Oh man, great.
Yeah.
There was a list of how the GI Joe O-ring had to be made. The Real American Hero.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing, and you're gonna be like, oh, every time you see a an O-ring figure, you're gonna know why it doesn't feel like a Real American Hero, and why the Skeletron one does.
Yeah, I mean, I have
Oh, Skeletron is something else. I forgot that.
Yeah. all the Super 7 Joes. I do have those because I always said I'm going to buy 118 Joes. They're fine. They're not great.
That-
The Delta 17 to me is the closest thing to when I open one up, feeling like a kid again.
I can't agree with that because did you have the Skeletron O-ring?
I do. I like it a lot.
Did you opened it?
Mm-hmm.
That was
Yeah, it's great too.
I talked about that in my review. The O-ring, not the 4-inch, but the O-ring is the closest thing that I felt to being 6 or 7 years old again. The way that it opened, the way that it was packaged, the explosion, the card art on, like everything felt like I just got home from Kmart or from Toys R Us and got a new figure, and I was going up to my room to open it up and play with it. That was the closest thing. And when I was talking to Patrick Stewart recently, he said the same thing. And he told me I have this video coming out, and again, it'll make you realize it. And he also said something about Delta 17. He said that's the closest thing as a line that I've dealt with. You know, and I think one of the reasons why the Delta 17 don't feel like the G.I. Joe O-rings is because Steve doesn't want them to be just like them.
I'm not saying they felt like it. I felt like a kid again opening them.
Okay.
Yep.
But and again, and that's how I felt about that Skeletron.
Yeah. Oh, me too. That and Ghost from.
I didn't get Ghost, but
no.
They share so many of the same. They're sharing all the same tooling in like the same way, the packaging. So I would assume that would be the exact same way.
Yeah, it is. It's got that same feel to it. So let's go back to starting a Punk with Toys. How'd that come about?
Do you really only want this to be an hour? No, okay.
It goes where it goes.
So Punk with Toys started. It was originally just my YouTube, and I used my Instagram, which was my personal Instagram, which was Punk Rock Skate Dad, because after my ex and I split up, I started skateboarding a lot again, and I didn't really get into toys again. I still had my O-ring stuff, and I would slowly pick stuff up. And it wasn't until Classified. Well, actually, not Classified. I take that back. The Walmart 4-inch exclusives, and I just thought I'd throw everything on my channel. You know, again, I wasn't trying to make any money off of it or be popular. And this was well before the pandemic. And as I picked up the Walmart exclusives, I was looking at them and I was like, well, why don't I just compare these? Because I have them. You know, I have the Hiss, the All Striker, which were almost the same. The Fang was not. And they still didn't fix the bad things on the Fang. I hate that new modern Fang. I'll hate it. But I just started comparing them because you don't really see too many people do it, and it worked out because I noticed that the Hiss back seat is different because the legs are longer on the 4-inch figures, so they had to like cut it out. But then when Classified came out, again, I didn't get Snake Eyes right away, and I ordered them from, I think it was Hasbro Pulse, And I looked online and I didn't see anybody was comparing the originals. And I was like, well, I have them. Why don't I just compare them? And even then, like you could see the design cues. Roadblock was version 2, Duke was version 1. You could see the design cues that they took. They just didn't make them the exact same. And that was kind of my thing. And I leave all my reviews up there. They're really bad. I mean, I didn't understand being as close to the. I mean, if you went and watched some of those, you'd be like, how do you expect me to see the figures? You're like 10 feet away. So that's how it started. That is really how it started. And I was just comparing those things, and then as I would get other things, I would just kind of review other things. And it really wasn't till, believe it or not, Valaverse came along that I started taking it serious. And that's kind of what, my buddy said, hey, I have these if you want to review them. Because I didn't want to spend that money on a Valaverse figure, because I didn't know, because you can only get it online. I don't want to spend $30 or it was $32 at the time on a figure that I wasn't a toy guy at the time. And he gave them to me, and that kind of, because everything that I heard about the Valaverse were biggest pieces of crap ever, or they're the greatest figures ever. I'm like, they gotta be somewhere in the middle. And they were much closer to being good than bad. Hence the reason why I stayed in the line for as long as I did. That's when it started kicking off. That's when, I started feeling this groove, and I slowly just adapted everything that I wanted it to be to what it is now. And I'm still trying to always adapt to how I can make things better. I don't know if you wanted to answer that.
Yeah, the growth has been amazing.
Thank you.
I still remember your early live streams with all the issues, but I mean,
it's still up there.
Persevered, went right through them.
At the first live stream that I ever did, I did it on a Wednesday before my Black Friday giveaway. But I was like, I need to do a live first to make sure I get all the kinks out of it. And thank God I did, because I didn't know how to stop the music. So if you go back and watch it, I think it's about 7 minutes. I had the music going. I thought it was going to stop. I know what to do now. I didn't know what to do. You're up there alone. You don't have anyone to help you because, you haven't asked anyone. And I couldn't, so I had to kill the stream and then restart it without music. They're hard watches, but you leave everything up there, because when somebody comes in and they start asking you questions and they see your growth and they see where you're at, I want people to be able to go back and go, okay, so this guy, he wasn't making these like this from the beginning. Now, a lot of people will say that my reviews and my videos are awful anyway, and that's perfectly fine. But you go back and watch what I was doing before, you can see that there's been a huge growth. And, the hardest part about YouTube is hitting that record button.
I know I did me and Hillbilly, we did a episode with the guys from Plastic Profiles.
Okay.
And I'm like, it's not recording. He's like, yeah, it is. I'm like, all right. We did the whole thing. Then he's like, oh, I forgot to hit record.
You can see it.
Over. I'm like, you can see it right there, man. It's not recording.
Especially if you're using StreamYard. I can't see the other ones, but I can see right there. It's been recording 39 minutes and 54 seconds.
Yeah. It's so funny, though.
But you know what? You did the right thing. You mentioned it to them. They said, yeah, it is. And you went, okay. Yeah. But you should have been like, I only have an hour, though, just so you know. So you may want to double check.
At that point, I had nothing but time. So, of all the stuff you've purchased, toy-wise, any like true buyer's remorse?
Yes. The Super 7 Thundercats. And the Super 7 Ultimate Thundercats and the Super 7 Ultimate SDCC Bat.
Is that like the 7-inch bat or
Yeah,
okay?
it's the
Yeah, I
blue
don't have
one.
any of those. Yeah.
If you go back and you watch my Tiger video, the lion on the Panther I wasn't that upset with, but everyone said that those are built on the Mattel Bucks.
Mm-hmm.
The Tigra was, and you can hear and see me visually be getting more and more mad with that. Um, those would be my biggest regrets, like buyer's remorse.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe some of the McFarlane, but they're like $20. So,
Yeah.
you're not like, and again, $20 is still $20, right? I mean, I get that, but $55, and then you buy 4 of the Thundercats, and you're just like,
Yeah.
I think I sold them all for like $150. And then come to find out that I believe that Tiger is worth a lot of money now. I'm like, son of a bitch.
But I mean,
I
bottom
like.
line, you're
I
not
want to
happy
say
with the
I
video.
like that question though. I like that
Yeah.
question.
Yeah. Okay, so Joe Fest, you're coming again. You're
That
number
is the plan.
2. You got anything special planned? Are you going to do anything for your channel? You're just going to hang out with friends?
I'll probably do another walkthrough for sure. Before the event starts. I would like to interview more people. I have better equipment now. Obviously, use my phone. I just need to have somebody. That's what I want to do. Maybe interview Ace and Steve and Ken and some of these other guys.
Yeah.
But sometimes when you get there, and this is what happened at PowerCon, and this is what happened at Joe Fest. I'm just having fun with my friends,
Right.
and it's kind of like I don't really want to. I don't want this to be a work trip.
That's why I've never done anything there. But we're supposed to do something this year, so we'll see.
I am going to do this. I do like that's what I plan on doing. I'm going to do a walkthrough. I'm also planning on doing a walkthrough of the lobby, maybe from the hotel room through. I don't think people understand. I don't know where this came from. This started like last night that I've been doing a lot of this. I don't think people understand when we tell them like you're hanging out in the lobby. I don't think they realize how many people are there in the lobby from 8 o'clock till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Right. Yeah.
It's the whole downstairs, and then there's the upstairs, and everyone is just sitting there. And I'm gonna definitely do a walkthrough. I'm gonna try and do a time lapse of like when I wake up from here, take off, and just kind of do like a couple little different segments of, where I'm at, about how long I've been driving and everything, getting there, checking in, running into some people, different things like that. That's my plan. But that plan kind of goes out the window sometimes because you're like, all right,
you're in a moment. It's just
there's
experience.
So there's a NoFX song about Tony Sly, the singer of No Use for a Name, and he died. And in the song, Fat Mike is singing about it, and he talks about how he has no pictures with his best friend because when you're with your best friend, you don't think about taking pictures that much. Now we live in a different generation where, it's hard not to. But I look back at my childhood. I hardly have any pictures. I didn't care about taking pictures, and even now, like skateboarding, we come from a different generation, and the last thing I want to do is ask somebody at the skate park who came there to skateboard to waste their time to film some old guy do a couple of tricks. And I still kind of feel weird having. I don't feel weird having the phone out, like taking pictures with someone or having someone else. But doing the whole recording and stuff like that, it's still I feel weird. But everyone does it, right?
Right.
I think it's just an old guy thing.
I know, like the last 3 years, I'm a shy person by nature, but I've been coming on my show.
I can tell.
And yeah, the last 3 years, I haven't been shy about just walking up to somebody saying, "Hey, can I get a picture with you?" and all
No,
that. And
you came
it's
right
been
up to me
great.
at PowerCon.
Yeah, 'cause I didn't know
But
you were going to be there, and I seen you. I was like, "Oh, that's Lawrence."
you know, I had more than a few people after Joe Fest say, I saw you, but I didn't want to. I'm like, dude, it's not bothering. Like, we're there. We're
Yeah.
there to talk to people. Like, don't ever think. Now, obviously, if you're in the middle of a conversation and you're like tapping on someone's shoulder, like, yeah, that's just rude in general, right? You wouldn't do that to
Right.
anyone. But it's like, no, like, you kind of flag people down. And again, I'm very self-aware of everything that's going on with me per se. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'd much rather be that person, and I talk about that. I'd much rather be that person that stops and spends 5 minutes chatting with somebody because they want a little bit of your time. And that person may never tell anyone, but if you're that guy that's like, oh yeah, you want a picture with me? Okay, great.
Yeah.
People will
I'm
remember
down
that,
there then. Oh
right?
yeah.
You don't know who the good tippers are, but you know who the bad tippers are in Hollywood, right?
Yep. Yep. I've
You
seen those
know,
videos.
yeah. And again, you're there to meet other like-minded people. The reason why we're doing YouTube like this is because there's not that many adult collectors living around us,
Yeah.
right? So so where do you live at?
Indiana.
So you're in Indiana. I'm outside of Detroit. Tony, I talk to all the time, lives in Arizona. So I talk to Ed in New York. All these guys are all over the damn place. Yet everything that I told my kid, these aren't your real friends. They're online friends. You can't make any money on.
Yeah.
Gotta eat all those words.
Right. I would probably say 80% of my friends I've met online, but I've met most of them in person now.
Yes.
So
Yeah, PowerCon
it's
and Joe Fest. That checked off a bunch of they're no longer online friends. I know them in real life.
right. Yep.
But here's the craziest thing. Because of this visual medium, meeting Tony for the first time and meeting Travis fucking Moody. I hope we can swear here. But like
That's
meeting
what people
him
say.
and like you already feel like you know them because you see them.
Yeah.
The only thing that you don't know is how big, how tall or short somebody is and how big someone might be. Obviously people know that I'm short because I mention it all the time. Wilhelm, like I
did
thought
not know he was that tall.
I also thought he was fat. I told him, I'm like, but he saw me pulling in and I was going underneath into the parking. This guy's stopping and he's rolling. I'm like, because I had picked up Tony and Travis. And so like I'm pulling in and he's like stopping and he's rolling down. He's like, hey, punk. I'm like, I think that's Wilhelm. And then I
Yeah.
see him in person. I'm like, I thought you were like shorter and rounder. And he's neither.
No.
He's tall, he's stocky, and a great guy.
Very much so. Yeah. Like I said, I've met people at Joe Fest that I talk to 2, 3 times a week, either on the phone or text or
I talk to Tony
But
every day. I talk to Tony almost every single day on the phone.
it's awesome.
There's not too
It,
many other people in the world that I want to talk to on the phone.
yeah, it's true.
I didn't say I really want to talk to Tony either, but I do talk.
One of my important questions is how do you find the time to do 3 shows a week, make all these reviews? And people can say whatever they want, man, but you work hard at your channel.
Well, it's more than 3 shows now. It's 3 live shows.
That's what I mean.
And then I also recorded another show with Adam Vale on a new channel called the TV Terminal. Where right now we're reviewing Mobland, but so in all honesty,
Feature, right?
what?
You did Reacher?
We did Talking Reacher on a channel that he was on called The Coalition.
Okay.
And then him and I talked about it, and we agreed that it would be best for us to start our own channel. And the Coalition gave him their full blessing. So we're going to be doing other TV shows. You know, he's in the process of getting screeners. So we watch it and then we record it right after. So it's not a live stream.
Right.
But I do 3 live streams now. Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Monday is the only one that I really have to plan for. Tuesday is really Baldies. Thursday, I just have to make sure I have a guest.
Right.
In all honesty, the way that I'm able to do it is I'm a single guy. My kids are, 18 and 16. Olivia's not with me all the time. Andrew does his own thing. He's 18. If I was in a committed relationship with someone, or if I was dating, I probably wouldn't be able to do it. But there's also, again, one of the reasons why you see my reviews go out so quickly is because, like this here, I'll be doing after this show. This is the Toylanta Operation Monster Force exclusive. One of the reasons why they get out so quickly is because I don't want to sit on unopened toys. I want to open them up and play with them. So if I'm going to do reviews, and the way that I do my reviews, if anyone is unfamiliar with it, is I like to show you the firsthand experience of them. So let's get it done as quickly as possible. I get it in, and because I don't do a lot of edits. If I was doing a lot of edits, what?
I don't edit at all.
Well,
what you see is what you get.
Yeah. So for me, I do the opening and the ending where it's facing me. Then you see the video of me posing it, opening it up, showing off everything, and then I just have to create, take a couple pictures, create the the opening of it. So I don't have to put in little sound bits or little clips. So I'm able to get them out fairly quick that way. Bobby B is probably one of the few people that's quicker than me, because his is open them up, point it, get his deep voice going, and go right from there. Now that guy doesn't even do thumbnails. He just picks a picture of the damn it, dude! How the hell do you do this? How do you do it so well? So that's it. And now with doing the classic reviews, those are something that I would do 6 of them in one day. Because when I do my reviews, I don't know if I told you. So like I start off with the review like this, right? Mm-hmm. So I started off here. Now I have to open it. So I got to move the camera around. I don't have, I film right back there. So I don't have a camera set up. Then I have to open it up, go through everything. Then I have to move the camera back. When I do the classic reviews, because the Joes are already open, everyone knows how the O-ring works. I record the beginning, I record the end, I change my shirt, I sit back down, I move on to the next figure, change my shirt, move on, and then I just go in and do the actual cutting of it. So with those, I can get 6 done in one day in roughly 4 hours, 3 to 4 hours. There's a lot of time spent with it just transferring over and stuff like that. I have to do at least one this weekend, because I have a couple of the other ones. I have almost everything done except for the Sky Striker and like the headquarters for Series 2 for the O-rings. So that's how I'm able to do that. But a lot of it has to do with just being single for as long as I've been single.
Yeah. I mean, I'm lucky. My wife's very supportive of my hobby. And she's like, you could always spend your money on worse things. So
that's true too.
I'm very lucky in that. And she will help me, because I'm not a big computer guy, and she'll help me with stuff too.
But the thing is, if you were doing 3 live streams, and then say you're doing, again, if you were doing everything that I'm doing, and this is not trying to say I'm better than anyone or anything, but 3 live streams, other streams, like you asked me to do this, Darren had asked me to go on. I don't know when this is going to go on. I went on after my live stream for Same Time Toys, because it was 1 year anniversary. Then I'm doing the stuff for the Talking Reacher, and I was talking Mobland, and then all the reviews. Your wife would be like, I'm sitting here alone You need to spend time with me. And she'd have every right to say that.
Actually, she would not because she's playing her Xbox.
Okay, well,
That's
then,
her
you
thing.
know, but I think you
She's,
understand. I think you understand what I'm saying.
I
Like,
do, but she's happy when I come down here to the toy room because she can
okay.
pop right in there and play her games. So that's
That's
why
pretty
it
cool.
works. Yeah.
And again, one of my biggest things that I've always said, if I ever, I'm sure I'll date again, but they'll know what they're getting into. Like, I can't hide it. But at the same time, I know that you have to cut things out
Right.
because they deserve your time too.
True.
I mean, that's unfair. And even before this, I was just consumed with skateboarding again. And it was like, it's not really fair for me to try and date someone if they want to have an actual committed relationship, because I just wanted to ride my skateboard. I still do. My knees, not so much.
Yeah. So me and my wife, we've been married like 32 years, so she
Okay.
knows what she's into.
But it sounds like she has a hobby too.
Yeah, oh yeah. And that we spend every Sunday with our granddaughter. So
Yeah,
we have
you do have that quality time that you guys.
oh yeah.
I like you say your granddaughters, but not your kids.
Well, because we go there to spend the day with her, so my daughter and son-in-law go to work.
I,
So that's
it's
why
just,
we're there.
I know it's just funny. You're like,
Yeah.
not my kids, but my granddaughter.
But she's the one I see the most, except for the daughter that lives with me. So here's
Wait,
a
what?
question.
Wait. Your daughter lives with you.
I have one daughter that lives with me.
Oh, okay.
I have one daughter that lives in Louisville, Kentucky, with her husband and daughter, and I have another daughter who lives like 5 minutes from me.
Okay. That's how I was like, what do you mean? She lives with you, but then you go there to take care of your.
Different daughter.
Okay.
Here's a question I love to ask people because I get really like deep thought answers. If you could have any book or TV show or cartoon or movie developed into a toy line that you would just be all in on, like you love this so much that if they come out with, and you can even pick the scale. You say, I want this, 112, blah, blah.
I think at this point, I want everything. I can't even pick the scale. I can only give you one.
Well, one that I used to always say Supernatural. Supernatural. I love Supernatural. Let's get some toys made. But now I think I'm thinking, I read a lot of fantasy books. So, like there's a series called Sword of Truth with some like outstanding, descriptions of characters. I would love to see those in a toy line.
Man, so see, there's multiple ones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go over some that I'm gonna quickly go over some, and one you just kind of brought. I love Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Now, if you've been watching the show, my daughter and we literally watched an episode of Angel today before I came up. I want that just to go with Operation Monster Force.
Oh,
because that would fit in perfect, right? I mean,
yeah.
And I know they've done scale, but I want nice 6-inch figures. I love V. The original V.
The original V, yeah.
Now I was gonna say 6-inch there, but then I'm like, but you want those ships, and they would fit better in 1/18 scale, something like that. The new Battlestar Galactica, I absolutely loved.
Me too.
I think if you said just one, and again, I get so many that are going through my mind, is a 6-inch A-Team line from the 80s, because you're not just talking about B.A., Murdoch, Hannibal, and Face. You're talking about Colonel Decker, Colonel Lynch, all the guest stars. I don't need General Stockwell or Frankie. All right, those two. I don't need them. You get to have the. Well, I think that they saved them, but you get the you get a display setup where they're where they're on the post before they're supposed to be executed. You get the black sergeant that was with Colonel Decker all the time. You get those military police cars, and then you get all the guest stars: Hulk Hogan. Hulk Hogan. People are gonna yell at me. They think I say Hulk Hogan. It has to be the A-Team. Not to mention the guns that they used.
Yeah,
which I have. Which I have them.
They're AKs.
They weren't AKs. They're not AKs. But there's. But that's what I thought they were too. They're different. Top Fun Retro Toys sent me a couple of them. I didn't realize that those rifles, the stocks are all collapsed. Because now you never have a stock. I didn't realize they were all collapsed till a couple years ago.
I just assumed it wasn't there.
So did I. But if you look, they're collapsed in. But that's what I have to be. Because there were so many guest stars. And just like so many people that they saved, you have Amy Allen and Tanya. Was it Tanya, I believe? And then you can have the different versions of Hannibal and in different disguises. That would be so much fun.
Yeah. All right. So that was all my hard-hitting questions. That's how we roll in the pit. We ask the tough questions. Before we get out of here, though, I do have to say thank you so much for coming on. And, not everybody's going to know, but you spent an hour with me last week just giving me some tips, and you didn't have to do that. That's who you are.
I'm more than gracious to help out. I've said this before. I say this all the time. I'm not a gatekeeper. If it took me a year to figure something out that works, and I see one of my friends that are making the same mistakes that I am, I have no problem reaching out and saying, hey, I used to do that exact same thing. Why don't you try and do it like this? Because there are some right ways to do things and some wrong ways to do things. And it's little things. But there's other things that I just would say. There's no reason because it took me a year or 6 months to figure it out. Why should anyone else? Just because it took me? I mean, I grew up in an era of skateboarding where if someone was trying to do a trick that I could do, I wanted to help them. Or I was hopefully they would help me try and learn something, that if they knew how to do it, right? It took me 6 months to learn how to learn it. I'm not going to try and help you.
Well, he'll figure it out.
Yeah, because I'll say it here. My job is never to make somebody not watch someone else's content. My job is to try and make you watch my content. And if me helping you out or Tony's Figs or whoever, if I help you out and you grow, that help, you're going to say my name. Let's say I'm going to say your name. We're all going to grow together.
Right.
I
always tell people somebody else's success is not my failure. I root for everybody doing their stuff. I want good things for people. I'm not the kind of guy that goes out there and just dumps all over. That's not going to be me. So
there's no reason for it.
No,
I don't have time for that in my life. Do you?
No.
I mean, seriously. I mean, do you have time to waste on what someone else is doing? Unless if they're trying, like again, people are going to be like, "I've seen you go live and go into the drama." Well, when someone makes up lies about you, like you have to defend yourself, right?
Right.
And again, I know the type of person I am. I take shots at people, and I expect people to take shots at me. I'm not going to cry. I'm not going to get mad about it, But when you lie, when you personally attack people, that's when you kind of have to speak up for yourself. But I don't have time to waste on other people. There are a lot of content creators that I don't like. I usually find out if they say something about me or if they're talking about something just because we have so many friends in this community. Someone's going to reach out and say, hey, did you hear what they said about you? Or did you and maybe I'll go back and watch it if it sounds interesting to me. There's a lot of people that I don't like that they'll say, hey, so-and-so was talking about this and it sounds interesting. It has nothing to do with me or anything. It sounds interesting.
Yeah.
And again, like Bobby Valla, sometimes when someone reaches out and says, "Hey, he's talking about this in the industry," I find it very fascinating because he is in the industry and he kind of
Right.
explained a lot of things that we don't get to, like, that we don't know because other manufacturers, other other companies don't outright talk about it, and you find it fascinating. Scott Knightlick used to do the same thing, and I know people don't like to hear that, but Scott Knightlick used to do the exact same thing, and some of the stuff was very, very informative. So, I kind of forget what I was talking about. Yes, I don't have time for other people, but I do watch other people's content. You know, if it has something, if I don't like them and they have something informative, I'll tune in and see it. But I don't seek other people's content that I don't like. I have other things to do in my life. You see how much content I create.
I was like, you don't have the time for that.
I gotta watch Buffy and Angel. I told Olivia, I'm like, I'm hoping that we can finish these 2 series before you go away to college. Mind you, she's only a sophomore.
Right.
We are almost done. I think we have a season and a half left of Buffy and 2.5 seasons left of Angel. So we'll get there eventually.
Nice. All right. Well, just once again, thank you for your time and all your help. And I'm sure if you're watching this, they already watch you, but if not, check out A Punk with Toys. Toy Ramblings on Monday, Tuesdays, Circle of Jerks.
Yep.
And Thursdays with a friend.
Yep. That's staples of where I'll be.
Yeah.
If you look around, you'll probably find me every other day.
Now, I watch, but sometimes I have to break them up into segments because I'm at work. But I get through them, and they're fun. So, thank you again.
No, thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. And like I said, anytime you or if anyone else they have any questions, they can message me, and I have no problem just chatting with them and helping everyone out. That's what we should be doing in every community.
Yeah, I'd rather make friends than enemies. So I got enough drama in real life. I don't need it in my hobby.
That's very true.
Right. Take care.
Also, if you have a teenage daughter, you hear about all kinds of drama.
I've got a daughter that's 30.
Wait, so you're telling me that I'm still going to hear about it when Olivia's 30?
Yeah, I thought my kids were expensive when they were teenagers. Oh, they're more expensive now.
Oh man, you're not helping. Right. You're not helping things.
I'm just being honest with you.
This is when you can lie to me. All right.
All right. They're independent as soon as they turn 18. You don't have to worry about nothing.
Oh yeah, I know that's a lie because I got an 18-year-old son that is not yet. All right.
Right. Yeah. Now, my 30-year-old lives with me, and she can stay with me as long as she wants. That's my daughter, and she's almost just like me, so her sarcasm is up there.
Well, you guys have met Olivia, so you know exactly.
You can tell she's your daughter.
Yes, that's what people say. I'm still waiting on the DNA test.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Have a great night.